Hey, Steve Mignani here. Before we get to our junkyard crawl video for today, just a heads up, on October 1st, if you're in the Durant, Oklahoma area, I'll be there live at Spanky Assiter's inaugural Freedom Choctaw Collector Car Auction at the Choctaw Casino and Resort Event Center, again in Durant, Oklahoma, where a whole bunch of cool collector cars are going to get sold, many of them at no reserve. And I'll be on the stage live doing commentary. One of the best cars and most special cars in that event is going to be the actual 58 Chevrolet Impala, fully restored, that was once owned by Peggy Sue Gerron. Yes, that Peggy Sue, the star of several Buddy Holly songs. Pretty, pretty, pretty Peggy Sue. That was her 58 Impala. That car is going to get sold at no reserve, again, on October 1st at the inaugural Freedom Choctaw Collector Car Auction in Durant, Oklahoma, October 1st. Be there if you want to take a shot at that car and just check out a great auction. Okay, let's get right into the junkyard crawl here at Bernardston Auto Wrecking. Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts, with a really bizarre 1978 Chevy Monte Carlo. Now, we all know, of course, that this is the third generation of the Chevy Monte Carlo, which first came out in 1970 through 72, and then 73 through 77 were sort of the more flowing ones. But for 78, Chevrolet downsized the Monte Carlo and the Malibu, and of course, all the other GM midsize. So these cars actually lost about 700 pounds and rode on a shorter 108-inch wheelbase, which is 8 inches shorter than the 77 full-sized Monte Carlo. But this one is really weird for a variety of reasons. Now, of course, 78 being the first year for the downsized Monte Carlo, sales were strong, 358,191, which was down about 40,000 units versus 1977. But with that said, 358,191 Monte Carlos today would be an astonishingly successful number. But this is from the time when the Monte Carlo was one of America's most popular cars, this and the old Cutlass two-door. Now, the thing with this is that you could get a variety of different engines. There was a 200-inch V6, first time ever a V6 in Monte Carlo, 1978 up. There's a 229 Chevy V6, a 231 Buick V6, a 305 Chevy V8, and even a 5.7 350 cubic inch diesel, which could be had in the third gen Monte Carlo from 1978 through 1980. Now, this one again is kind of weird. This did make a story in Motor Trend. This is Motor Trend's this is the issue from April of 1979, and the big news on the cover, of course, is the Chevy Citation, which we did a video on. In fact, if we look to your left, Shane, that white critter right there, that's the Chevy Citation four-door. That's an 85, but again, that was the car and the vehicle and the philosophy that replaced the Monte Carlo. But inside this magazine, we can see right here, here's the road test of the Monte Carlo Sport Coupe. We can see right here, it's written by Chuck Nurple, and they say this model was loaded with extra cost options that boosted the base price of $4,994 to $9,277 and change. In base form, with the 201 cubic inch V6 3-speed manual transmission and no power steering or brakes, this very dull product is a very dull product despite its sporty profile. So what this is telling us right here, you could get a very, very Spartan and very weird Monte Carlo. You get a 3-speed manual, you get a 4-speed manual. More on that in just a second. But as we make our way through this puppy, this is and it's gone, basically. We can see that it's body on frame. The frame is not even here. It's next door. We'll get to that in a second. But it's still a pretty weird car. We begin the weirdness inside, and we notice right here, this this red plastic plate right here. This is the block-off plate. If you didn't order the C69 air conditioning, which is on 93.4% of all Monte Carlos, you got this. But check this out. The block-off plate actually unplugs, and that's where the AC outlet would be on the 93.4% majority of Monte Carlos. But again, this car was one of a 7% minority with AC delete. Weird, right? So that's kind of a first tip of the weirdness on this car. We come around to the front, and again, here is where the air conditioner would go, the big old suitcase. But again, this is just the heater. This is Massachusetts. You couldn't get heater delete on a Monte Carlo. It would be kind of nice. But again, this is the heater box. And again, 97% of all Montes did have AC. Speaking of Monte Carlos, this is a 1980 Monte Carlo. This is a 1/25th scale model. Again, we see the square headlamps, 1980. That was the facelift. 78 and 89 would have single headlights, oval ones. But see the bottom, there's the catalytic converter, automatic transmission, and again, 305 two-barrel V8. And again, this is a monogram model. You can still get these things from round two now. Model cars, to me, are a great way to learn about real cars because you can study it in miniature and then go out in the junkyard and read about it in full size. Now, we continue our little look around this puppy. And this does, of course, have power front disc brakes, all accounted for. This is the frame to this car right here. Power steering. You could get manual steering if you wanted. Crazy but true, but this one does have power steering, which is probably on 98, 99% of these things. And as we make our way, if you want, Shane, take a look through the passenger side. I'll come around to the driver's side, and we'll look at the transmission on this one and see what we find. And get ready to have your mind blown. Now, here's the thing. Of those 358,191 Monte Carlos in 1978, all but 2,601 were automatics. This one has a clutch pedal right here. There's the clutch pedal right there underneath the dash, okay? That's weird. Now, with that said, the floor has a welded-on hump for a manual transmission. Now here's the deal. There were 882 three-speed manuals installed in 78 Monte Carlos, and for the sporty set, there was 1,719 four-speeds. So again, 2,601 Monte Carlos out of 358,000 were equipped with a clutch pedal. That's like 2%, 0.2%, something like that, like none. And beyond that, here's the center console that would have had a stick shift poking out right here from between the bucket seats. So what a crazy looking car. Now, Shane, if you'll come around, we'll continue our exploration. Now, this car is interesting. Now, here's the thing. I did some research, and apparently the four-speed was a cast iron Saginaw, and again, there were only 1,719 four-speeds. It was a cast iron four-speed, Saginaw four-speed, but it was only available, says all my sources, with the 305 V8. And this one, well, the VIN has an A in the engine spot. That means 231 V6. So I'm thinking probably what we have here is a three-speed manual 231 V6 Monte Carlo, one of 882 three-speed manuals. 0.2% were built with a three-speed stick. And the thing is, you might say, well, the three-speed manual was up on the column, right? Because it was, like on the first and second gen Monte Carlos, the three-speed was on the column. Well, not here. And this is a 1979 consumer guide to the new cars, right? So in here, again, 79, I couldn't find one for 78, but inside this we find data on transmissions. Now on the left-hand side, that's Malibu and Malibu Classic. Okay, we can see the four-speed was $135. It was an option. Keep in mind, the Malibu and the Monte Carlo were cousins. Come to the right page, and Chevy Monte Carlo down the bottom, and up top, it says here the base transmission was a three-speed manual in 79, but there's no reference to a four-speed in the 1979 Monte Carlo. What the thing is, I have seen dealer brochures that do reference in 1979 a four-speed, but for 78 you could totally get a four-speed in one of these things. But again, theoretically only with the 305 V8. But A means 231 V6, so this is probably a three-speed manual 231 V6 Monte Carlo. We keep looking, we see the trim tag right here. And we can see right here the paint code 19L, 19U. That means black, lower and upper body. And that's, of course, just black paint, which we still see. 74 for trim. Where's the 74? A74. That means carmine red interior, present and accounted for. Now, some other things I see on this here, these numbers right here, like the what do we have here? Like, yeah, some of these, the A51, these things here. I don't know my GM trim tags, and I couldn't really find the data on this. It's possible that this might be a code right here for the floor shift. Not sure. I'm going to hope that maybe Google user GP, our faithful decoder here on the Steve Maggs YouTube channel, always pops in with some insightful info. Maybe Google user GP can freeze that frame and tell us what A51 stands for. Maybe that's a code for the floor shift transmission type tranny tunnel to be welded into the body by the Fisher body assemblers. But we move along and we can see the frame to this car. This is the frame to this Monte Carlo, and we can see, of course, it's body on frame. There it is right there. But the weird thing about this is dual exhaust. Wait a minute. Hang on, right? So the thing is, you could not get dual exhaust on a 1978 or 79 Monte Carlo. You get into the Monte Carlo SS, like in 83, 84, yes, dual exhaust came back. But at this point in time, not even the turbo cars, which you could get in 80 and 81, the V6 turbo Monte Carlos, 80 and 81, they had single exhaust. So what we're looking at here, I think, is somebody's hot rod. You know, it's just a weird thing, that A code. If that was a U, I'd say, okay, 305, 4-speed car. But this is an A code V6 Monte Carlo. You couldn't get the 4-speed behind a V6, you know, so kind of weird. But we see also on this thing, the drums on the back of this are aluminum. We can see right in here, the fins on those drums are actually aluminum, and that was factory stuff. Also sometimes seen on Buick T-Types and Grand Nationals as you get into the mid-1980s, but the aluminum drums were part of how Chevrolet pulled 700 pounds out of the Monte Carlo from 77 through 79 when they downsized. Now, the only thing that's kind of a bummer is I can't open the trunk. I don't have the key. And on the bottom side of this trunk, there should be a specification sticker that would tell us all about the transmissions, MM3 or MM4 for the 3-speed or 4-speed manuals. But I can't open the trunk, and it's not my car, so I'm not going to pry it open. Not that I'm going to hurt this car much more than it's already hurt, but one thing I don't see is on this rear axle, this is a 7.5-inch or 7.62 10-bolt. Same thing used in like Vegas and Monzas. I don't see a Positraction tag, which was possible. G80 Posi was certainly possible. I don't see that, so that's a strike against possibly this being a high-performance intent car when born. But again, these dual exhausts were added by somebody along the way, as was the mag wheel that we saw up front in some of the shots. So again, the mysteries of the junkyard, this unicorn, you know, 0.5% manual transmission Monte Carlo, the 350-something thousand cars, like 0.5% had a clutch pedal. And here's one of them right here, languishing and dying here at Bernstein Auto Wrecking. So it goes to show that the junkyard is more than a junkyard. It's a classroom. It's a mystery. And we just found ourselves a Monte Carlo unicorn. Now, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Max YouTube channel, give us the thumbs up, and come back tomorrow. We'll have even more from Bernstein Auto Wrecking.